Thanks for joining me on another edition of Sober Second Thoughts. Before we get into it, stick around until the end. I have a little nugget from Ticats practice that I am sure you will want to check out at the end of Sober Second Thoughts. All right, as I mentioned it, let's get to it. And the first Sober Second Thought brings us back to the BC Montreal game. Lions over the Alouettes, big time, 37-23. Lions now 7-6, keeping pace with Winnipeg, who also won last weekend. William Stanback, my gosh, 128 rushing yards on the day. Big touchdown against his former team in his best game of the season at his old stomping grounds. Now leads the CFL in rushing yards, 239 yards away from eclipsing his best rushing season, which came back in 2021. He ran for 1,176 yards. Montreal now 10-2. They've thrived on adversity over the last year or so. Next up for the Owls, not much adversity is going to be in the way. They're up against the 4-8 Calgary Stampeders. That is sober second thought, number one. Number two, the air show in the capital. Argonauts, Redblacks, it was a big game. It turned out to be a huge game statistically as well for both quarterbacks. Chad Kelly, 463 passing yards, 3 TDs, 4 interceptions. 3 of those were tipped. A couple of those were pick sixes. Redblacks now 8-3-1 on the season, and their defense, get a load of this stat, their defense has allowed 7 fewer yards to its opponents compared to the Ticats, who are 3-9, 7 fewer yards per game than the Ticats. Bo Levi Mitchell and Hamilton's offense might get some good looks when they take on Ottawa this coming weekend. Ottawa's run D, very stout, though, one of the best in the league, and that could be an issue for Greg Bell, who's going to be starting in this game, barring an injury at practice. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. on Saturday. By the way, Ottawa can clinch a playoff spot with a win. And speaking of BC, they are hosting the Argos, who are 6-6, and that is a huge game in the standings, of course, for the Tiger Cats as well. They want to keep pace with Toronto. Sober second thought number 3, and it was a barn burner of a Banjo Bowl. Maybe not all the points that a lot of fans had expected, but an evenly fought game. Bombers now 7-6. They're in sole possession of first place, virtually tied with BC, but they have the season series in their back pocket. 5 wins in a row for the Bombers, 5 straight Banjo Bowl victories as well for Winnipeg. The Riders going the other way. They are winless in their last 7, 6 losses and a tie. And now they have a whole bye week to kind of contemplate what has gone wrong with their season. Congratulations to Winnipeg's Mike O'Shea, now the winningest coach in Blue Bombers history, passing the great Bud Grant with his 103rd coaching victory. Next on the all-time list is Bob Obilovich with 107, then Dave Ritchie 108, then they got to go all the way up to the top of the leaderboard, the legendary Wally Bono with 232 coaching wins. That is unbelievable. Final sober second thought of this edition of Sober Second Thoughts, and this is the surging Edmonton Elks. They're now 5-8 after a 2-game sweep of the free-falling Stamps. Calgary is a mess. They committed 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions by quarterback Logan Bonner, who took over from Jake Mayer. Calgary looking for answers. Edmonton, on the other hand, is going to turn to quarterback Trey Ford when they host Winnipeg September 21st. And buckle your chin strap. That is going to be a big-time game. 2 of the hottest teams in the CFL going to clash with massive playoff implications on the line. There's no doubt about that. Just a reminder before the Golden Nugget on the Ticats, this Thursday, picks, props, and predictions right here on the Fifth Quarter Show on YouTube. Check it out every Thursday. Drops in at around 4 o'clock. I'll make a pick, a prop, and a prediction, and we'll certainly include the Ticats in there as well. All right, so here's the nugget from Ticats practice on Tuesday. Spoke with head coach Scott Milanovich, and he confirmed that Bo Levi Mitchell will start against Ottawa on the weekend. Why is that significant? Well, Taylor Powell back at practice this week, off the 6-game injured list, although Milanovich would not commit to anything after Bo Levi. So it could be that Powell is number 2, or he's on the 1-week injured list. It could be that Talia Tungavaloa is number 2 or number 3. Harrison Frost could be listed as the second guy. All 4 guys participating in practice today. It'll be interesting to see what the coaching staff ultimately decides. There's one other bugaboo, if you will, that Ticats fans, they have a bee in their bonnet, and have had one for the last number of weeks, and that revolves around James Butler. And James still on the team, on the 1 week injured list. Greg Bell still the starter. And so I asked head coach Scott Milanovich, what is the difference between the two guys? And he said Bell is more explosive, Butler is more powerful. But he also said, quote, "This is not an indictment on James Butler. He wanted Greg's juice in the lineup. He's got a lot more speed, and I think another gear or two in terms of acceleration and explosiveness." And so I asked head coach Scott Milanovich, would he consider dressing both players, considering a certain set of circumstances or a matchup that he might want to take advantage of? And he said, quote, "It is hard to get another American on that's not going to play a major role offensively or defensively." So if Butler gets into the lineup along with Greg Bell, you're going to have to take another American off the roster. And right now they're looking at the roster composition, and they're not too thrilled with what that would mean in terms of impact if you took one off and kept one on. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fifth Quarter Show on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Coming up on Thursday again, picks, props, and predictions. And of course, Ticats and Redblacks this Saturday. Kickoff is at 3. The Fifth Quarter Show on YouTube will be on the air, if you will, at around 6 p.m. on Saturday. We'll see you then. Have an awesome day.